Welcome to Dave and Dharm Demystify, a FinTech Futures podcast, helping make sense of the world of FinTech and digital finance. Please sit back and listen as the two Ds take a subject and discuss it to make it clearer and easier to understand.
Demystify.
Welcome everybody to the Dave and Dharm Demystify show. This week we have a special guest, Abhishek Trabati from CareemPay. Can you give us a brief introduction to yourself and CareemPay? Because I'm pretty sure outside of the UAE, maybe not too many people might have heard of you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here, Dave and Dharmesh. So I'm currently heading the product at CareemPay. CareemPay is part of the overall Careem Everything app, where we want to solve for everything payments. And the way people look at money and wealth from different perspectives is what our major intent towards helping the users are for. We are currently at CareemPay, we are live in the UAE, while Careem is available across 10 countries, 80 cities. We are also stepping towards making this particular product go live in different other regions. Have been building fintech products for over the last 15 years. In fact, throughout my career, starting from day one, this is the only thing I have been doing. So very excited to be talking to two of you.
I mean, just before we get into the kind of details, Careem started out, I guess, as a ride-sharing app. Could you just sort of, because there will be people who haven't been to the UAE or won't have come across Careem, can you just sort of give us a sense of the size of it? I mean, I think every time I go to Dubai, it's my go-to app for the rides I take. I mean, it always works brilliantly. I've never had any problems with it, but it's so much more than a ride-sharing app now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Careem, we have got 15 plus services being offered back to our customers across 10 countries, 80 cities. What we call ourselves in the UAE is an everything app. While in 2012, we really started with ride hailing, we worked very closely with the customers, understood their pain points day in, day out. And right now we offer more than 15 services, right from ride hailing to food delivery, to grocery delivery, to payments, moving money abroad, to bikes, to rentals, to allowing customers buy flowers online, and so on and so forth. So it really is an everything app for our customers, where when they get up in the morning and throughout their day, they rely on us, and then we make their lives really easy while using the app. So that's how we have come across since 2012. We have sort of created a playbook on how do we want to go and launch in different other cities. So not all the cities have got the everything app, particularly in the UAE, KSA, which is Saudi, and Jordan is where we have got plenty of services. But in the other cities, we still are operating on a ride hailing, but hopefully looking forward to be launching the everything app in other regions as well.
I mean, I'm just going to say, I love the idea of the everything app. It's so much more descriptive than a super app, which I've always sort of scratched my head about. So, but I guess in the sort of classic sense, the everything app is about becoming a super app for your kind of customers, the destination for their sort of travel and shopping and food needs. So
yeah, absolutely. And for us, we have got three sort of customers. We have got customers who are the end users, somebody like yourselves. Then we have got captains. Let me also help understand who do we call captains. So captains are our delivery partners or drivers. Out of respect, we have coined this term called captains, also to make sure they understand the responsibility of carrying people and carrying things the way captains and pilots do. So we call them captains. And then we have got merchants. And in every region, every city we operate in, we work very closely with these three sort of users, customers, to build our products. So for us, everything app also means how are we making the lives of our captains easier, which we'll continue to talk a little more during the session. But it comes down to building for all the three customers.
We're quite used to lots of different payment mechanisms, and you would kind of think that payments is a done deal. It's all about PayPal, or if you're in the US, Venmo, etc., etc. I get the everything app. That makes sense to me as well. But why did you go into payments when there are so many options already available?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think some of it is very organic. While we solved for ride hailing, the way customers paid us was using their cards. And we observed the customers had started to trust us by storing their and saving their card details on file, which they can use as a one click, right? And we are talking about millions of such customers who trust us with their card information, bank information being saved on Careem on file. So that's how the journey really started, where we have been solving payments problem for our customers in an indirect way while we were offering a different service back to the customer. And then while we went on to work with the customers and we have different programs, for instance, one of the things which we do at CareemPay is a CareemPay founding circle, where we have created a group of customers, captains, who we work very closely with before launching a new product. So we really get close to them and understand their pain points. And we have had such programs and initiatives using which we understood there is a problem within this market when it comes to a consumer product as well. So at CareemPay, we have got two kind of products. One is a consumer facing product. The second one is a platform. And the platform is the one which we envisaged early on, where we said, while we go on to launch different offerings, there will always be a need of a platform, payments as a platform, where customer can come in, buy whatever they want, use our service in the most seamless way. And again, we are talking about multiple geographies. So there is a nuance of how payment gets processed in different countries altogether. So that's how the journey really started. And when we got closer to our customers, we realized there is definitely a need of a good fintech. And the definition of good can be really different in different regions. I think that's one of the reason also I took on this opportunity while building in the UK and European economic area, because I felt like Middle East has got huge, massive opportunity, but we did not have really good fintech products. And that's how we worked very closely with customers, started to build, and have got now 3 products out there on the consumer side, which is P2P, where customers can send money domestically, an international remittance product, and a bills and utility payment service on CareemPay.
And what's been the take up like in the domestic country as well as like outside in UK, Europe? How are you growing?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we are growing like a wildfire, and food, quick, the grocery product, every vertical, every mission is growing at Careem. But when it comes to CareemPay, I think we have been growing really fast as compared to the other products. Our new product, which is Remittance, which is where we allow customers to move money from UAE to other countries, has been seeing double digit growths really every month on month. Our average order value as compared to the national average value, when you compare UAE to say any particular corridor, UAE to India, for instance, UAE to Pakistan, our average order value is probably 3 times higher than the average order value for the country. We also launched UK as one of the receiving corridors. Our average order value for UAE to the UK is potentially like 5 times as compared to the national average. So I would say we are growing really fast, and the entire product thinking, product mindset of building and getting close to our customers has been really quite helpful for us to come to this stage.
So can I ask, I mean, in terms of remittances, was it through the kind of captains that you saw the opportunity? Was it just more generally? Because I guess the population dynamics of the UAE, there's a huge kind of expat population, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. So multiple aspects came to this before we decided how do we want to go in this direction. So of course, GCC hosts huge amount of expats, particularly UAE has massive number of expats living in there. We were also serving to our captains, and we see our captains, particularly from say Pakistan and India, while the moving money abroad problem has been solved for several years, but the way they send money and given their profile, they were not given the best experience altogether. Let me drive this conversation slightly in that direction. So for instance, a captain, the moment they are not on road, they start to lose money.
Yeah.
Right. And hence for them, it's quite important to always be, or during their working hours, to be there and serving the customers. Now, if they had to go to one of the exchange houses offline to first withdraw cash, then stand in a queue and then send money, it took them, it was quite expensive in terms of time as well. Now, what we do is We pay to our captains directly in their CareemPay wallet. So first of all, all the earnings come directly in their CareemPay. Okay, so that's first. Like your source of income is digitized. Second, you can, as a captain, they open the app CareemPay and now can easily move money back to their home countries. And within a few minutes, just on few clicks. So that has eradicated the whole situation of them going away from their working hours or standing in a queue or wanting to withdraw cash and so on and so forth. So that was one of our key insight while we started this. But I have to say, the way we have brought in the product thinking and solving this problem has not necessarily solved just for captains, but also for the entire customer base altogether. And that's why we are seeing a really crazy growth in a sense.
I mean, I really love that. It's a great example of sort of proper service design where you kind of really analyze the problem. And I totally get what you mean, because I've been past some of these exchange places and seen massive queues outside. So if you got to be out of the job for sort of an hour or two just to kind of send money home, that's can be a real issue. So I think it's a brilliant example of what actual service design is all about, where you sort of solve the problem by looking at the totality of what's going on.
Yeah.
Can I ask about, given you've got a fintech background and actually, 15 years in fintech means that you're a fintech veteran, even though you're very young compared to me and Dave. But, there's a big notion that everybody needs to partner with people, right? Like banks need to partner with fintechs need to partner with fintechs. In the Everything app, and I guess, from a CareemPay perspective, are you working with other fintechs as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes back to the main point where we do not want to reinvent the wheel. In fact, the paramount thing which we are working backwards from is what does our customer need or what do they want and how do we give them the best experience? Now, if that requires partnering to a larger extent, we are extremely open for that and we are doing that already. So for instance, let's start with the basic journey. When the customer gets onboarded, there is a KYC which is needed, know your customer. Now, we are not going to be building the full stack of KYC. We are definitely going to use a service provider who has done a great job in identifying that particular problem, can do biometrics, can do OCR reading in the best possible way. In fact, we use the tool which is implemented on Dubai airport. So it's quite seamless in that way. You can scan your face and we get you through the app very quickly within a fraction of few seconds. So we partner at different stages of the transaction. And the unifying thing behind that is how do we go back to our customers and deliver the best experience? So whether it comes to how do we work with the regulator, how do we work with another service provider who could fulfill the need for our customer, or it could be also how do we want to deliver something which is quite important, but at the same time, there is somebody who has already been solving for that problem in a very niche way. So we are very open to that. We recently partnered with a payments company and sort of orchestrating the payment. So our payments teams are based out of Dubai, but we serve countries like Saudi, Egypt, and it's quite important for us to understand what are the payments challenges in those countries and how do we handle the payments. So the Pay SDK, that's the SDK which we have built where we help all our customers to use that to make payment while buying things on Careem app, is quite smart enough now. So it can tell you where the success rate on which card issuing is really done well. It can help the customer figure out if there was a problem, how do they navigate without going through the hassle. And a lot of that, and that comes in from different tight integrations and partnerships. So we are very open. We have done quite a lot and we have been doing those partnerships.
I was kind of interested in that sort of extending that ecosystem out. So, I mean, obviously you start with wallets and then you've got remittance. I mean, an obvious next step would be to kind of look at lending. And I don't know if you do lending already, but what's behind my question is, are you the interface to the bank of the future? I mean, it's sort of like...
Good question. I love it.
Well, it's sort of, the more people use you, the less they've got a need to use the other things that are out there from a kind of finance perspective. You talk about the app of everything. So everything maybe encompasses things like lending as well. So I was just kind of interested in the ambition.
I'm going to be using my past experience to help answer this question. I think the market size is quite big and there is a need for everything. The way different companies operate and the kind of strength they have got differs from each other. There is always going to be a need of a banking institution. There's always going to be a need of an institution which is a platform which helps execute a particular transaction in the best possible way. So I would say, in terms of our aspiration, we definitely want to offer more than what we are offering to our customers, although we are not in rush. And that gives us a great opportunity to work very closely with our customers to define what are they looking for or what are their challenges in their day-to-day needs when it comes to payments and finance. And then we craft a product and go back to them. Now, if that requires us building things in-house, potentially yes. If that requires us quickly partnering with someone to take that in the market, because one important thing to understand is a lot of times these companies who have great infrastructure, they might not have the strength of going to the customer. They
Right.
might not have a strength of distribution. They might not have a strength of understanding what the best UI and the UX looks like to deliver this experience, but they have a solid infrastructure. So I would say there is a need for multiple players in the market, depending on who is solving for what. But our aspiration definitely is to continue and focus on the customers and work backwards from there, partner and collaborate with the regulator, and partner and collaborate with the existing ecosystem to deliver the best experience out there.
No, I guess that's a really great answer because as you say, if you're not in a rush, you can identify the problems as they come up. But I guess that behind it is a sort of a broader question, which is, I remember even 12 months ago having a chat with someone in Dubai and them saying, look, cash is really important still in Dubai. And I was like, well, I don't recognize that anymore because certainly my experience in Dubai is I never get money out from the moment I arrive to the moment I leave. It's all through kind of wallets and Apple, It's just kind of interesting how even 12 months before that, that would have been a very different question and how fast things kind of change and sort of customer behavior is changing as well. So the old traditional banks felt that they had the trust of the customers and that was never going to disappear. But my observation is that's sort of being watered down to the point where, customers have different relationships with kind of newer brands, which are doing more for them, like Careem or Uber or whatever, are great examples of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way you handle a customer or a company handles a customer in a situation matters a lot. And that starts to build trust, right? The way journey really starts is, as a brand, we talk about value propositions. As long as we are able to deliver that value proposition back to our customers, the faith they lay on us during their first transaction gets converted into trusting us over a period of several transactions. And technology fails sometimes. And when it fails, if the brand is able to, or the product is able to cater to their needs with sensitivity, with respect, and with urgency, I think the trust still remains in there. That plays quite an important role. And given the role of tech, I think a lot of products and businesses have started to focus on that, which has given enough opportunity to customers to sort of experiment or explore with a new product altogether, right? So it's a function of, do we have alternate ways to explore and get my job done? I think the answer is yes. For the same problem statement, there are multiple offerings in a given market. Particularly in FinTech, it gets really crowded, as you can imagine. And then the second one is this particular brand able to create the trust, is able to create the relationship with me enough where I can go back to them as a customer? And I think that's where the key is. So in a way, I think the customer care, the customer centricity, the customer empathy, which the tech companies, particularly we at Careem, we are extremely focused on that. For us, NPS matters a lot. have been able to deliver that, which has gathered a lot of trust from our customers, and we continue to scale on that front.
Is that the reason why I'm just intrigued? Because, I'm an ex-banker myself, and for my sins, I kind of struggled with introducing innovation into banks before. What's your perspective on what is it that's holding banks from doing what you guys are doing? I mean, like, why do, just your perspective, because like you're in a very successful fintech, right? A bank should have done this, right? There's no doubt about it. Payment is core to banking. So why is it that banks struggle with what you seem to find really easy to do, right? Which is, being customer focused.
Yeah, I mean, in several geographies, you would see banks have started to do it, but I would say it's all about the mindset. When a tech startup solves for finance, they are a tech startup or a tech product who is wanting to solve a financial problem. Versus in banking, they actually are the other way around. Their focus is on finance and then using technology to deliver that experience back to customers. So I think the difference in my view is primarily in the mindset of how do we approach a given problem? What are the risks as a brand, as a product we can take? What are the things we can do for our customers? What's the unit economics? What's the revenue looking like? So I think it's a function of multiple things. I would also say building some of the past products within the fintech space for consumer. It's sometimes great to not to be a bank. The kind of restrictions or constraints you have from the regulatory body in different geographies, and I have been solving in different geographies over the last 15 years, it can get quite complicated. So sometimes you're better off not being actually a bank and still be wanting to explore and innovate within a problem statement. But in my view, it all boils down to what's the mindset of a brand when they are going out in the market.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderfully simple kind of notion, this thing about the finance driving, using tech versus tech trying to innovate on finance, but ultimately makes, real sense. So thank you for that.
Well, I mean, I'll say something sort of slightly controversial, I guess, but it's not really. It's the finance industry has been built on inefficiency and inertia, really. I mean, the way it's kind of maintained its grip on what customers see and what they do. Whereas I think now what you have is players just opening that up. And I think it's really interesting to kind of see like what will happen in the dynamic between the Careems of this world, the Ubers of this world, and the Apples of this world, and the Googles and the kind of banks. So, and on that point, I guess it'd be interesting to kind of get your views on the future as well. So, sadly, I'd love to sort of spend all day talking to you because I think it's such an interesting conversation. So maybe next time Dharm and I are in Dubai, we should find a captain and do a podcast in a taxi. And
Oh, absolutely. That would be an amazing thing to do. In fact, if you haven't already, watch our 10 years documentary on YouTube. And yeah, that's also available in Emirates while you're flying in. So try watching that and you would see a lot of conversations have been carried out in the taxi. So you would really appreciate and enjoy that.
Anyway, so I guess the question is, there's a lot going on at the moment. We've got through this whole conversation, almost half an hour, and we haven't mentioned Gen AI, which I think is a big win. But, AI is sort of there kind of in the background. I guess what you've got is, it sounds like you're moving into more geography. So I was just kind of wondering what the priorities are for Careem over the next 12, 24 months.
Yeah, the way we are structured helps us quite a lot. We are structured in the form of missions. A mission is a group of people trying to solve a given problem at a particular time, and they're focused on solving that particular problem. So the way we are structured helps us in a way that we can prioritize several things at a point in time and not lose out on the momentum or the opportunity. So while we have a playbook and we are going towards launching the Everything app in different other countries, it's a function of past, which means how we have learned things over a period of time. That does not stop us in exploring and doing a lot of new things on the AI front. In fact, we have been quite ahead in that way to implement few of the use cases, which would be going live very, very soon. For instance, when you are looking at or exploring to order food, you could actually talk to AI bot and just tell them what is your mood like, and they would come up with. So you don't have to actually go on to search and then look at different restaurants and then their menus. What you need to do essentially is just tell about your mood or what you would prefer eating at that point in time, and it gives you very accurate information where you can save your time in terms of buying or ordering food, and pretty much accurate, I would say. And of course, as we grow, as we do things, we will optimize for it, so the success and the chances that it's giving you the best recommendation is always going to get better in future. But we have been quite ahead in terms of how we want to use AI and its use cases. It's going to be phenomenal journey for us across Careem, and not just us at Careem, but I think the way AI and its implications is coming in the mainstream and solving for different use cases for our customers. I think it's going to be quite an exciting future for all of us.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. Dharmesh looks like he's got a final question.
No, I like you say, Dave. I mean, we could go on this for a long time, but just wanted to say was thank you, because I love this thing about fintech is a mindset, and I love the Everything app. For me, it is kind of like a true lifestyle app. We seem to have come full circle on the internet in that when Dave and I started, it was walled gardens. It was CompuServe, Yahoo. You had to pay to enter their world. Their world had everything. They provided it, right? And it almost seems like we're coming full circle, because when we have to do everything individually with lots of separate apps, it's a pain. So it's fascinating for me. But thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing your insights. It's really been fascinating. So I think there's a lot to learn here for banks and other fintechs or aspiring fintechs, because you are one of the leading lights in Dubai, and I'm sure you will be globally.
Thanks for having me here. I really enjoyed the conversation, and look forward to meeting both of you sometime.
Fantastic.
Thank you for tuning in to Dave and Dharm Demystify. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in next time as we take another topic and demystify it.